Have you ever experienced a burrito from heaven? I was passing out Father's Day burritos, obviously on Father's Day. And there was a group of people on the other side of the street. And it was awesome because they were probably not intending to come to church. They were probably on their way to the farmer's market. And we were serving breakfast burritos at church that were phenomenal, okay? Phenomenal burritos. And there's a group of them, and all of a sudden, I get an idea, okay? And this is what happens. I grab 2 burritos, and I yell across the street, "You guys want breakfast burritos?" And all of a sudden, I just chuck them. They give me the nod. They're in. And I throw burritos across the street. And what happens next blew my mind. They exploded in their hands. They took a burrito, all the egg, all the cheese, all the chorizo, all the potatoes, right to the face and all over their clothes. And I freaked out. I ran. It looked like I ran away, but I ran to go get some napkins. I got a few extra burritos. I run across the street. I'm embarrassed, but I also can't stop laughing. And I run up to them, and I just apologize. I am so sorry. That's not what I intended. That's not what I was thinking. And they were so cool about it because this dude, he looked at me, and he was like, do you work at the church? And I was like, I serve there sometimes. And he said, man, it's like burrito fell from heaven. I was dying. And they had such good attitudes about it. They were like, they hated it, where they're like, we loved that. That was unbelievable. It was crazy. So I handed them a bunch of napkins, helped them get cleaned up, give them some fresh burritos, and they end up walking to the farmer's market. I think it's important in life to have failures like that, but also to have like memories as well, to also try things. But think of how cool it would have been if it didn't explode and then he ended up catching it like a touchdown and then having his mind changed about how you can have fun, or just having the boundaries of what he is expecting to happen as he's walking on the street on the way to the farmer's market, just totally taken down. This is a podcast. This is a conversation where I want to talk about things that could become inspiration for all of us. I want to have conversations with people. I want to talk about failure. I want to talk about exploding burritos to the face. I want to talk about what's happening. And then I just want personally to be inspired. And then I want to talk about what it looks like to think through purpose, vision, dreaming. This is for the dreamers. This is for people that are ready to experience more. This is for people wanting to grow. This is for people that are looking for some inspiration. This is for people wanting to go on a journey. And we're going to go and see what happens. And I want to thank you for joining in. My name is Trevor, and we're just going to see what happens as we keep pressing in, as we keep leaning in, as we keep wanting to experience burritos from heaven exploding in our face, and just trying things. Like let's be up for trying things, and let's see what happens. So this is episode zero, because we haven't even really started. We're just testing this thing out. So if you want to go on a journey, we're going to be releasing these weekly, and we're going to see what happens, see what God does, and see where the conversation takes us. So let's take the burrito from heaven, for example. Why are things like that valuable for us? Well, I think that they're valuable for us because we're willing to have an idea. We're willing to create something new or an experience that's never been done before. And we're willing to risk no, or we are willing to risk failure. Now, I'm not necessarily thinking about all those things as I'm grabbing burritos and throwing them across the street. The idea is this would be cool. This would be fun. This could change the way people view church, or even like start a conversation where they could, maybe even have a real conversation about Jesus or anything like that. Like, how simple and how niche and how focused could we think? And as we lean in to this conversation, as we lean into thinking, and maybe even being inspired, I want to ask you a question. What are you doing right now? Just as we kind of come together, what are you doing right now in your life that is going to impact the next 100 years? What are you doing right now that's going to last? What are you doing right now that has longevity? What are you a part of that you're going to leave behind beyond you? And if we could, as we have conversations, get to maybe even practical things that we could do on a daily basis, practical ways that we could think, man, I firmly believe that if we could have some intentionality, we will have the beauty of what it looks like to create art come in everywhere we are, everywhere we go, and in everything that we value and invest in. Now, I was talking to somebody even this morning, and we were talking about big, large things: impact, movement, taking care of people, inspiring people, development, leadership. And I said, as I was talking to him, I was like, look, you don't view yourself as a creative. You don't view yourself as an artist. But if you were trying to grow, if you were trying to develop, if you're trying to make and see something happen that's never happened or never been before in your life, around your life, or in the world, then you are creating. And I would say that, like, honestly, if you're wanting to go from existing to thriving, you are creating, because you're trying to create a life where you feel alive, where you are living, where you're experiencing all that life has to offer. So if it's okay, let's just all, for the sake of this conversation, begin because we are breathing, because we're taking in oxygen, because we have plans throughout the day. You are creating, and you're a creative. So what does it look like for you to maybe even view yourself that way? And then what does it look like for you to make an art out of living, an art out of thriving and being alive? One of my biggest fears, I think, is getting to a point in my life where I look back and I've been on autopilot and I've just been existing. I've just been in survival mode. I haven't been pressing in, haven't been leaning in. And a few nights ago, I was running. I usually listen to podcasts, honestly, only when I'm running. And as that's become like a daily discipline, I kind of digest a lot of podcasts, and I love to hear how people think, how they process. And there's a switch that is flipped in everyone's life when they go from just trying to survive and exist and live a life of purpose, live a life with vision, deciding, hey, I'm not just going to let life happen to me, but I'm going to determine what happens in my life. And there's a switch that's flipped. And it's really cool to be a part of conversations like that. And I think we can have those on a daily basis. I think we can have them actually regularly. I think that's honestly one of the best things that can happen with community, because we ultimately become who we surround ourselves with. But if you think about that idea, and you think about what it looks like or feels like to randomly catch a burrito to the face, right? Having what you think should happen, have your mind blown, if you will, or like thoughts that come in that you weren't expecting to have that day, then you can actually understand what it looks like to live a life that decides to be intentional with it. And so this is where I want our conversation to kind of end or maximize. This idea of around how intentional are you being? And maybe the key to you not just existing and thriving, And for us to find out our purpose and to find out why we were created and to find our purpose is to think intentionally about who we are, where we are, why we are, and where we're going with what we have. Because if intentionality is taking, like a working definition for us, the Trevor definition, if intentionality is actively deciding to value the choice or the decision I'm about to make greater than just flippantly and casually making it because it's how you've always made it. And the intentionality comes in with this. What is your why? Why have you decided to do that? Why have I decided to make a podcast? Well, I can quickly answer that for you. It's because my fear of failure, or my fear of maybe I don't have much to say, or my fear of I don't want to have to live up to this in the future. What if I say something that I don't like? Or what if I say something that's maybe even false? I'm not even claiming to have all the right ideas or have all the right knowledge or have to have all the answers. That's not what this is. This is a conversation of where I want to think, I want to get after it, or I'm trying to be a source, but be a part of being a source of inspiration because I personally want to be inspired, because I personally want to develop. And my hope for helping somebody else is greater than my fear of all of those other things. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to lean in to really what God has for me and what my faith looks like. So if you want to today take every thought, action, conversation captive and be intentional, what is your why? And it's been said like this. I've heard this, and I love this thought. It's kind of a crazy thought, but I like it because it challenges me. Ask me a big enough question, and I'll give you my life. And really that gets at, if you share with me a why that is worth me giving my life to, then that why has immense value and treasure attached to it. So, what is your why? So many books have been written about why. But if you can get it down to the detail, and if I can personally today get it down to the detail, then I will have conversation, action, decision, impact that could potentially last the next 100 because we can impact others that last longer than us and that are doing things that will last beyond them. And then we can be a part of something greater than ourselves in the context of community, conversation, and relationship. Because so many of us are lonely. I believe beauty, aspiration, thriving, dreams, your next, a bigger why will come in to our lives if we think about the simple, detailed decisions and we make an art out of living, an art out of conversation. Not because we want a certain outcome, but because we want to be with people, because people matter. The why shifts, not because I'm trying to change somebody, but because I want to encourage them, build them up, challenge them, help them, and be a friend. I love a lot of things, but I love it when someone feels alive. And I know this, feelings, they come and go, feelings lie to us, but feelings are also good, and they're for us. Because I can feel, I know I'm awake, right? I know that I'm living. And I just want to have these types of thoughts or conversations, or as I think and as we have conversation, I'll be bringing people into this. And as I travel, this is a setup. But what's your setup for today? And if I could encourage you anything, if I could just personally encourage myself, it's like, let's live life to the fullest. Let's make memories worth remembering. And let's lean into the time that we do have. Not worry about the time that's already passed. And not live in the time that's not here yet. Even though remembering is good, and dreaming and planning for the future is great, and having strategy for it. But you can only do what you can do where you are today. So we're going to go on a journey. We're going to get after it. And if you would like to elaborate with me on anything, please text me. Please email me. Please comment. Let's just go on this journey together. And let's see what God does with where we are, even if we don't believe in God. I believe you have to recognize that you don't believe in Jesus before you ever have a conversation that's real about all of the issues and the frustrations that you have with religion or Jesus or Christianity. I'm a Jesus follower. So let's have a conversation about faith and let's see where it goes. Let's live this life on purpose. So that's what I have for today. This is episode 0. This is a podcast. Maybe you're watching this on video or the YouTube. Let's see what happens as we go on this journey together. Thank you for joining me. Again, my name's Trevor, and we'll see you next week.